This week I decided to do an assessment for the 2023-2024 NBA season, kind of a breakdown of the outlook of the season of the teams, of what I think of who are kind of contenders and favorites and also pretenders. And that's the way I've broken this down. Got made a little sheet of notes to go off of, and so let's get right into it. I'm not going to spend too much time on the pretenders, but I just going to make a list here and tell you who I think kind of don't think are contenders for either playoffs or the finals. Um, I think Detroit, Charlotte, Washington, San Antonio, Portland, Houston, Chicago, Orlando, Toronto, Utah, and Atlanta. I think all those guys are still kind of in the bottom, trying to figure out what to do with their young talent. Obviously, San Antonio has Wemby, but it's going to take a little time. Some of the new draft picks, like with the Thompson twins, and also with the Trailblazers, I think they got Scoot and Simons. I think they're set up great for the future, but as of right now, I think they're still kind of in that bottom half. And then there's kind of these three teams that are right on the brink of pretending or contending, right? And I think one is the Pacers with Halliburton and what he's done and in that new role he's in. And I think he can push them into the playoffs. I just think he needs a little bit more help. I like some of the pieces that they have with Buddy Hield and Miles Turner, but I just think there needs to be a little bit more depth there and more firepower. The other two teams is Brooklyn and New York. I think Brooklyn has great young talent. They got Mikal, who I think is going to be a superstar, and they got all those Villanova kids who know how to win. And I just think that they're there, but they just they're missing some pieces, and they need to just continue to build. And I think they're set up well for the future. And then the other thing with them is the Ben Simmons kind of situation. If they can get some value out of Ben Simmons, I think that will put them right into the playoffs. He's kind of maybe the one piece that is bringing them down because of what they can get from him, and also the fact that when he's on the court, in my opinion, I think he's more of a negative than a positive, and so it kind of hurts the team, and especially for how they play. I think they need to figure out something to do with him, and I just don't know if they're going to be able to move him with his contract. And then the Knicks, they won the first round last year with the Cavs, so they seem to look good. However, there's just something about that team, and I don't know if it's just the certain players that are on a team, whether it's Julius Randle or whether it's Jalen Brunson, but there's just, maybe it's the coach, maybe it's Tibbs, but like I don't know. There's just something that just kind of makes me wary of the whole situation over there, and it's almost like they need to just go all in one way or the other, and whether they want to be a fast playing team or if they want to be a half court defensive team, but they just seem to be going one way, as one game, and then the other game they want to be a shooting team, and Tibbs wants to slow it down and play defense and be a hard-nosed team. But I think if they can figure out that part of it, then there will be more fluidity with their team, and I think they would do good. I just don't know if they're title contending. They'll make the playoffs again, but I think they're just right there on that edge. So then the next team I have on here is the next group of teams is the contenders. I'll kind of go through the list, and as far as like maybe in order a little bit. There's probably some groups, but how I think as I get as I start going up the list, maybe a better chance of them competing for the title. But we'll start with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Uh, they're they got the talent. There's no question about the talent. It's just if that talent mix will work to compete for a championship. I think the Jazz made the trade of a lifetime to get what they got for Rudy Gobert, and I think they're still trying to figure out how to play Towns and Gobert on the court while still trying to deal with a flourishing young superstar like Anthony Edwards. And and the hard thing also is the fact that Towns and Edwards both want to be the leaders of the team, but it's a guard-driven league, and I think Edwards is the guy. And to play the two big men at the same time, it's really hard, and I really think that's going to be the hurdle that they have to kind of overcome. So they're probably again solid playoff team. Just don't know if they're gonna be competing for a NBA championship. The next team I got here is the Clippers. The Clippers' main concern is health. If they can stay healthy, if Paul George and Kawhi can stay healthy, those two with three other players, really any three other players, can compete. And Kawhi has shown that if he is healthy, he can lead a team to an NBA Finals. But that's the key question: is if he can stay healthy, and he's still coming off another knee injury, and so it's to be determined with those guys. But if they can stay healthy, then they're definitely competitors for the NBA Finals. However, they just got to prove that they can, and as of right now, they're still in that contending um, set of teams for me. The next team is kind of my dark horse is the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think they have the most talented young group, and that starts with SGA, of course, and he is probably right on the brink of maybe even an MVP kind of season coming up. It just depends on again the pieces around him and what happens. He has the talent. He's one of those guys who can put up a triple double. He's got great pieces around him, and I think you're going to see Chet now that he's able to play, that he's going to flourish in this on this team. He probably is the key piece for them to be the next level. And if he can stay healthy and he can produce like the way people think he can produce, I think that will determine how far they can go. And so, Chet, the Williams, Jalen Williams, both Jalen Williams, I think it's all their giddy. They have the pieces. They're all young. They don't have the experience. When they get into the playoffs, and that's a little bit of the concern is when they get to the playoffs, are they going to be able to compete with those teams who have that experience? But they're my dark horse. I just really believe in what they're doing over there in Oklahoma City, and I also I'm a big believer in Chet. I think he has the talents. He just again like all the tall, skinny guys, he just needs to stay healthy. The next team is Miami Heat. They didn't make any major changes. They obviously lost out on getting Lillard, but they got Jimmy and they got Bam, they got Hero, and they might make some moves. You never know. It seems like they're not content with the players that they have. So maybe they make a key roster move and upgrade there. But Jimmy has shown that he can take a team all the way to the finals. The next is Golden State Warriors. Um, Difficult to say right now. I have them obviously in the contenders. I don't know if they're a finals caliber team, but with Steph, Clay, and Draymond, they're always going to be right there in the mix. Obviously, going to be a playoff team. Chris Paul, the chemistry, the mix of him on that team with these guys is the question mark. losing Jordan Poole, I don't think is a big deal. I think he is an addition by subtraction for them because of kind of what they were dealing with off the court. They chose to stick with Draymond, which probably, if you're looking at trying to capture championship short term, is the right way to go. They've proven that they can win with the core that they have. Uh, but the drama that was surrounding that team was just too much for them. But getting Chris Paul, his leadership, it's going to help. But I just don't know. You got another small guard. Is it gonna work? I guess we'll have to find out. Next team is Dallas. I think Dallas is um, it. They have the talent. Kyrie and Luka by themselves. Again, two players. If they stay healthy, they can lead a team to the NBA championship. It's just if they can stay healthy throughout the whole season and when it counts in the playoffs. Luka is probably going to be the front runner for MVP this year. He's kind of the next guy up, and everybody knows the talent that he has. But Kyrie is special too. He's proven when he's played with LeBron that he can be that guy too. So I think they can be one of the best duos in the NBA. Again, health has to be a factor there. Then the next team I got is the Pelicans. And the one other thing with the Mavericks is adding Grant Williams and Seth Curry helps. I think Grant Williams will bring that toughness to that team that they needed. Um, and so those are a couple of key additions that they got in the offseason. But the New Orleans Pelicans, I think they got the pieces. They got McCollum, they got Ingram, and they they got the pieces, but their whole team comes down to Zion and then his health. And I'm gonna say it, and I've been saying it from the time of from everyone's projection for the season. I think Zion is going to play 60 plus games this year. I really believe that he is healthy enough and where he's wanting to compete. And I think he's just going to try to prove people wrong this season. And I think he's going to have a big season. And with him having a big season, that New Orleans Pelicans team will be dangerous. If he can stay healthy, which I think he will, that team will be a dangerous team because they have the pieces and they'll make a move, I'm sure, once they get deeper and deeper. But they have a point guard, they have a shooting, they got a wing, they got a big man. I mean, just the makeup of the team it looks great. And then they picked up Jordan Hawkins in the draft, and I think for him to slip all the way down, I think it was 9. I think was crazy, but I think he was a great pickup for them. The next team is the Cleveland Cavaliers. Again, talent is there. D. Mitch, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen. It's all there. It's just they got to the playoffs, didn't have the experience. Well, most of them didn't, but they got there and they just folded. So we'll see after tasting the playoffs, if they can get to that next level, get back there, and then compete. I think they got the steal of the draft, which was in the second round with Imani Bates. I think he will be a great roster rotation guy for them. Everyone knows his story when he was in high school, one of the top projected players, and then he kind of fell out when he went to Memphis, and then kind of went to a couple different teams in college, and then he just couldn't find his ground. But the talent is there. 6'9", he can move, he can shoot, and so he can be that third guy if he's that 3-man. And if he can be that 3-man for them and be that guy, man, they're gonna be long. They're gonna have a long front court with Mobley, Allen, and Bates. That would be quite a feat to get through that in the lane and try to finish around those guys. Then the next team I got is the Sacramento Kings. They didn't make many changes, but again, they were right there. They got Fox, they got Sabonis, and they got to make sure that they keep pushing forward. They got the experience a little bit now, and so I think they're primed and ready to kind of make the next step. I'm sure they'll make a roster change, maybe in, getting closer to that deadline, and hopefully they can make one upgrade here or there. But they're close, and they got young guys and great young talent to get it there. They just need to continue to keep building on what they have. Next is Memphis. Um, they're gonna have to kind of figure it out in the first 25 games while Jaw's out, but I think they'll be okay. But they added Marcus Smart, which I think was a key piece for them, and then they added Derrick Rose, which hopefully he can mentor Ja Morant. But no one can deny the talent that Ja has, and so once he comes back, I think they'll get right back into it. And again, they kind of had a addition by subtraction. I think Dylan Brooks going to Houston, I think is going to help their team chemistry. I think that Desmond Bane's going to be able to flourish a little bit more, and I think that they will be able to continue to build on what they have been doing, and the distractions will be a little bit less. The only thing will be the maturity of John Moran, and if he can continue to focus the things on the court and not worry about all the different things that has got him into trouble and got the suspension. The next team is the Lakers. They had a busy offseason and maybe one of the best off seasons for the NBA teams this year. They added Jackson Hayes, Cam Reddish, Gabe Vincent, Christian Wood, re-signed Austin Reeves, and Jared Vanderbilt. They did lose Lonnie Walker and Dennis Schroeder, but man, the additions that they added, starting with Christian Wood and Gabe Vincent, I think those will be two impact players. I think Christian Wood was underutilized in Dallas, and we'll see if he can kind of show his talents in LA. And Gabe Vincent showed what he can do when he was at Miami. He kind of a spark plug and just instant scorer. And then I think Cam Reddish, if he can kind of be what he should be in any capacity as a starter or bench player, then he'll provide another rotation piece that they need. And again, LeBron and AD have shown that they can win a championship with the two of them, and they just need those young pieces, those rotational pieces, to be able to help them during the playoffs. And Austin Reeves is kind of coming along, and he's kind of showed them that they can rely on him, and so they're not too far off. It's just if all those pieces can come together at the right time. The next team is the Philadelphia 76ers. They didn't do too much. They added Patrick Beverley, which will help them. But their whole question mark is going to be James Harden, right? He doesn't want to be there. He wants to go. And so, in my opinion, he's probably going to get moved. It's just what kind of value that they're going to get out of him. But you still have Joel, which with him there, MVP, you just got to surround him with the right pieces, and then he can take you to the promised land. But the question mark of why they're not in my kind of top four favorites is because what they're going to get for James Harden. And James Harden is great. He can help them offensively, but the problem is the defense. The problem is the effort. The problem is, if he doesn't want to be there, then it's just not going to work. And so their question mark is what's going to happen with James Harden? What are they going to get back for him? Are they going to get enough value to be able to compete for a championship this season, where keep Joel happy, and hopefully be able to stay in Philadelphia? The next four teams are kind of my four favorites, and maybe not in order, but they're the kind of teams that I think are the best right now. Again, things could change. We've seen in the NBA that when the trade deadline comes, that things happen where superstars get moved, and this is all very early. This is preseason. There's no injuries as of right now major injuries that are affecting any team. So there's a lot of moving parts, but These are my top 4 teams that I believe that will compete for an NBA title. We'll start with the Phoenix Suns. Obviously, picking up Beal, with having Durant there and Devin Booker there, they're going to have more than enough offensive firepower to be in any game. But I will say this, I think one of the biggest additions was when they got Nurkic. I think losing Aiton, again, was an addition by subtraction because of the drama that was happening. And then losing Chris Paul, with those two guys really being the top of the drama within that locker room, they get rid of all that, and then now they can just focus on basketball. And then getting Nurkic is, I think, a perfect piece for that team because he is kind of a poor man's version of Jokic when he's healthy. He has been hurt and been, injured kind of the last 3-4 years. But when he's healthy, he is a great facilitator. He can score underneath the basket. He can rebound. And I think he's not going to add any drama. And I think he's a perfect piece for that team. And getting him in that trade with Lillard involved in that, being the third team facilitator, and them getting rid of Aiden and getting Nurkic was, I think, a huge boost for that team. And so they're just really depth away now. They just need few pieces to make sure that their rotation is solid when the bench comes in, and that they don't give up too many points when the bench comes in. And then hopefully they can free Bol. Hopefully Bol can be that guy in the bench unit. I love Bol. I think his skills and his game is so underrated, that he's so unique that if he gets the chance, which I think he will, on the second team with them, that he's going to help them a lot. And so hopefully we'll see kind of the resurrection of Bol in Phoenix. The next team is Boston. Boston, they just picked up Drew Holiday from Portland, and I think that will be a huge key piece for them. They had to give up Williams for it, but Robert Williams was kind of like the odd man out there, and so maybe again something that will help them. They also added Porzingis, and with Porzingis there, you look at that lineup: Drew Holiday, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Al Horford, and Porzingis. That's a pretty solid starting lineup. And so you go there. Jaylen Brown's now happy; he got paid, and then but you lose Marcus Smart and Grant Williams. But we'll see. I mean, they have a lot of talent there, and I think Tatum and Jaylen Brown are very hungry, and I think Drew's going to be out there to prove something too. But those guys are all very hungry and wanting to get back and making a deep playoff run, and hopefully for the title. I think they will be a team to compete for the title. The next team is Milwaukee. When you add Damian Lillard with Giannis, I think that automatically makes you a title contending team. I think that losing Drew, it hurts, but to get a all-star player like Damian Lillard to help you close games, which was the hardest thing for them, it seemed like, that is going to take that team who's already won a championship with most of the core that they're keeping. It's going to take them there. I really believe that Lillard could be that missing piece for them. Again, health is going to be the name of the game for a lot of these teams, and it's going to be it for them. Chris Middleton has been hurt. If he can stay healthy, he's shown that he can be a two-way player. And so it's going to come down to who can stay healthy. And if Giannis stays healthy, he's shown that he can be the best player in the world. And so Giannis, Lillard, Chris Middleton, Lopez, it's a solid starter, solid starting unit. And then they have some depth too, actually. And so they're probably one of the more deeper teams in the league. And then you got the current reigning champs, right? With the Denver Nuggets. And I think Jokic being the best player in the league, I don't think there's a question. I think Jokic is the best player, hands down. And if, as long as he's there, they're going to be the favorites for this coming season because they're the champs. You got to knock off the champs. And I think with pretty much everyone returning there, there's not much that they've lost. They did lose Bruce Brown, but outside of that, they pretty much kept everyone. It's theirs to win again, and Jokic has proven that he is that monster that just can't be stopped. And now that Jamal Murray is healthy, he's shown that in the two-man game with Jamal Murray and Jokic that they're really hard to guard. And so MPJ is improving on, and kind of in the buying into the system and as kind of that shooter, and then Aaron Gordon just kind of does his thing, getting loose balls and making plays and rebounding and doing that. So I think they got all the pieces that they need again to make another title run. Again, all this could change. Injuries is a huge factor, especially when you get to the NBA playoffs and deeper you go, and making sure that everyone stays healthy. And then the second thing is, who knows who makes that next big deal. Superstars go probably more in the NBA than any other league to a different team. And when that happens, that changes the landscape of the whole NBA. When Kevin Durant went to Phoenix, when Chris Paul goes to Golden State, when all these different moves that have been made, when Lillard goes to Milwaukee, all these different moves are significant. And so later when the trade deadline comes, if that happens, that can shake things up. So stay tuned. I will do updates on this kind of during the NBA season, and maybe do one around like the in-season tournament, or maybe halfway through the season or closer to the playoffs. We'll try to keep doing things like this. Again, small channel, so every like and comment and subscribe, it will help my channel grow, and if you can do that, it really helps us out. Okay, we'll see you guys next week.